Advanced Looker features, table calculations, custom fields, choosing a visualization. This video will cover some advanced features in Looker, such as adding table calculations, creating your own custom fields, and choosing the best visualization for your report. First, we will go over table calculations. Table calculations make it easy to quickly pull data on metrics of interest to you that are not already available within Looker. Table calculations are similar to formulas you might use in spreadsheet software like Excel. In Looker, these calculations must include data from a field in your report and can also include constants such as a number, operators such as plus minus, or formulas such as average, which is a formula that returns an average on a field included in the calculation. Since table calculations operate on fields and results already within your report, you must first add fields you want to operate on and click Run before creating a table calculation. One more thing to keep in mind with table calculations is that the results may not be as official as regular fields in Looker. This is because table calculations can be created by any user and require an understanding of the fields and operators used in the calculation to provide accurate results. Another thing to note is that table calculations can be saved in your reports, but will not be permanent additions to the HMIS Performance Explorer. There is no way to save a table calculation within the Explorer. Not to worry though, since you can save your table calculation in your reports, they will be there whenever you or another user opens a report. And if you want to save the expressions you've written for future reports, you can save these in a Word or text document for future use. Let's do an example of a table calculation. Let's say you want to know the average earned income at entry in each project in your agency for the last quarter. First, ensure that the reporting period filter is set to the last quarter. Then, add the program's name, entry screen earned income amount, and enrollment count fields. Click Run to return results. Now you will add a table calculation to get the average entering earned income for each project within the last quarter. Make sure your field picker search bar is empty so you can see all the categories and options. Then click the Measures tab. From here, click New under the Custom Fields category and select Table Calculation to open the calculation module. Title your calculation Averaged Earned Income. Now enter the mathematical operation to get the data you want. First, begin by typing Earned Income. Looker will auto-suggest a field. Click the field to add it to the expression. Enter the division symbol, and then begin typing enrollments count. Click the field to add it to the expression. You now have a mathematical expression that divides earned income by enrollment count, thus providing the average earned income at entry. Quick tip, you will notice that in the calculation module, fields will be colored in purple, operators will be formatted in blue, and if you add functions to the expression, they will be formatted in black. The quick help section of the calculation module will inform you if your expression is complete and will give you tips on how to use a function or operator and tips on how to create a complete expression. One thing you will notice is that sometimes when you type in a field name, the search value you were using will be left there in black. For example, it often happens that while you're typing in the search terms for a field, it gets left into the expression. This will result in an expression incomplete help, which you can easily solve by erasing the search term. Choose the format type for your new field from the formatting dropdown. We want our field in currency, so select US dollars 0 to round to the nearest dollar. Click Save. This calculation shows you the average income per project. Notice that the calculation fields are formatted in green, while the dimension fields are formatted in blue and measures are formatted in brown. Click the gear icon on the table calculation to either edit the field or remove the field from your report. You can always re-add the field by going to the Measures tab and selecting the field from underneath the Custom Fields category. Just remember that the calculation will only be available during your open session if you have not saved it within your report. I will take this time to show you some visualization functions. Notice that the visualization has enrollment count on the bar graph. We only want to show program name and average income. Click the gear icon next to enrollment count and click Hide from Visualization. Now we have removed the enrollment count data, but also notice that there are many projects that have no data. This is due to the null values identifiable by the strike-through symbol in the Earned Income field. Let's filter on this field so that the table calculation does not perform operations on null values. Right-click the gear icon on the entry screen Earned Income Amount field and click Filter. In the Filters bar, set this field to Is Not Null and click Run. Now all the null values have been removed. This is just one example of a table calculation. Table calculations do not have to be mathematical. You can also create expressions that include comparison operators, such as greater than or equal to, logical operators, such as retrieving values in a field that are not a certain value. Table calculations can also include string functions, which operate on words or letters, such as replacing all words with another word, or date operations, such as adding 3 months to a client's entry date. We will not go over these operations in detail during this training. Instead, I would like to ask you to review the Creating Expressions for Custom Looker Fields knowledge base article. This article provides a link to Looker documentation, which covers the different functions available within Looker, as well as the syntax, which is what you would write in the calculation module, and the purpose of these different functions. With this article, you'll be able to create your own expressions. And just remember that you can always reach out to the HMIS Help Desk for assistance. Now we will go over custom dimensions and measures. Custom dimensions and measures are much the same as table calculations. Like table calculations, they are expressions that can include a combination of field data, constants, operators, and functions. And like table calculations, all the custom fields you create are semi-temporary, which means you'll be able to find them under the Measures tab Custom Fields category while working on your report or in a report that has that field saved in it, but they will not be permanent additions to the HMIS Performance Explorer. So you do not have to redo dimensions and measures saved in a report, but you will have to redo them if creating a report from scratch. As we mentioned before, it might be in your best interest to save commonly used expressions in a Word or text file for future use. There are 3 main differences between table calculations and custom dimensions and measures. First, custom dimensions and measures do not rely on the fields already added to your report. When creating a custom dimension or measure, the dimension or measure module will allow you to search for and add all of the fields that are in the HMIS Performance Explorer to add to your expression, regardless of whether or not the field has been added to your report. For example, let's say you want to create a custom dimension with the age at project start field. You can have a completely empty report and still create the dimension because the custom dimension module can search for that field. Second, unlike table calculations, you can filter on custom dimensions and measures. Lastly, you can use custom dimensions or measures in expressions you write to create other custom dimensions and measures. In other words, Looker sees the custom dimensions and measures that you create as legitimate albeit semi-temporary fields. So they will be an option in the fields library when you are creating new custom fields. So let's go over this briefly in Clarity. To create a custom dimension or measure, click New under the Custom Fields category in the Measures tab. Then you can either select Custom Dimension or Custom Measure to open up those modules. Since custom dimensions and measures are so much alike table calculations, I will not go over further, but I do want to point out one other difference that differentiates custom dimensions and measures from table calculations. The only other distinguishing feature between custom dimensions and measures and table calculations is that Looker suggests some custom measures for you based off of the existing fields. So let's go and look at client's gender to see what this looks like. If you click the gear icon on this field, you see that Looker suggests a count and a list custom measure. Click one of them to see what it looks like. So you see this is the custom dimension suggested by Looker. You can explore to see which custom dimensions and measures are suggested by Looker by clicking the gear icon of a field and seeing which suggestions are listed there. So that's about it for custom fields, including table calculations, dimensions, and measures. The last thing we want to cover in this video is a quick run-through on choosing the best way to visualize your data. We covered a few tricks and tips earlier, and want to refer you to a knowledge base article which you can further explore when it comes to choosing a visualization method. The Choosing a Visualization for Your Looker Report knowledge base article contains a table that provides some guidance in selecting a visualization method. This table also contains links to further documentation by Looker, which provides further details and training on how to use these visualization methods. So although there are many types of visualizations, for HMIS data, you'll most likely be using table, columns or bar charts, line, pie, donut multiples, or single value. Let me show you a tip that you would find if you go to this knowledge base article and click the table link in the visualization types table. If you click this link, it will explain many options for customizing your table visualizations, including conditional formatting. I'll show you this tip to hopefully entice you to look further into visualization training by checking out the visualization knowledge base article. Let's say your agency has a goal of ensuring that every exited client has increased their income. You can highlight those who have or who have not increased their income by using conditional formatting. Let's start off by selecting the table option under the visualization bar. Now in the filters bar, set it to the last year. In the field picker search bar, search for enrollments project exit date. And click click filter next to the date option. Set this to the past 1 year as well. You will now add the client's unique identifier, entry screen, total cash income, update exit screen, total cash income, update exit screen, total change in cash income, enrollments head of household, and entry screen age at project start fields. Income data is only collected for clients who are adults or head of household. So let's create a custom dimension that will allow us to filter on those who are adults or head of household at entry. As you notice, we have added the entry screen age at project start field. This will only show us clients who are 18, or this will only show us the age of the client at entry. And this is a field that we want to use because we want to see those who are asked about their income at entry. So let's create the custom dimension. First, go over to the Measures tab. Make sure your field picker search bar is empty so you can see all the categories. Click New and click Custom Dimension. We will name this custom dimension Adult Minor. And we will be using the if function for this custom dimension. So begin typing your formula. So this formula will code our fields with adult if the client was greater than or equal to 18 at project start, and will code the field as minor if the client had an age that was less than 18 in the age at project start field. So you might not be familiar with this formula yet, but again, if you review that knowledge base article on creating your own expressions in Looker, you'll be able to see this in the table and find that the purpose is to code your data based off of logic. So let's go ahead and click Save. And click Run so that we can see the results. So once this field loads, you see that we now have our custom dimension that tells us whether or not a client was an adult or a minor based off of the data that is already in this age at project start field. So we also have to make a dimension that allows us to filter for only adults or head of households. So in this example, we're going to create another custom dimension using the concatenation to aid us in filtering. Let's create the new dimension. And we will name this dimension Adult Head of Household Combination. So now we will create this field. Click Run to return results. Once the data populates, we will see that we have a field that tells us whether or not a client was an adult or a minor at project start. As well as whether or not the client was an adult or head of household. So we now have data for people who are either not adults, not head of households, and minors, yes or no to head of household, or minor or adult. We will filter on the adult head of household combination field and make it equal to no adult, yes minor, and yes adult. Let's click Run to return the results. So what we're doing here is using the adult head of household combination field, which is a field that shows us every combination of adult, which is either adult or minor, and head of household, which is either yes or no, to be able to filter only for whether or not a client was a head of household, which is this yes section, or was an adult. So these clients were not head of households, but they were adults, so they were asked the question about income. So now, after this filtering, we have data only for people who were head of households, minors or adults, or people who are not head of households but were adults. So now we're one step closer to creating our table. So if you remember, the purpose of this was to show which clients did not have increased income at exit. The table already shows this information. However, we want to make the visualization as easy to read as possible. So let's hide the adult minor column as well as adult head of household column from the visualization, since these columns are not necessary for our report. But we will keep these columns here in the data bar so that anyone who opens this report can see how we achieve the results. So let's click the gear icon and click Hide from Visualization. We may also want to hide the age at project start date and the enrollment head of household fields, so that all we're left with is the client's unique identifier, their incoming cash income, their exiting cash income, and their total change. So now in the visualization bar, click the gear icon and go to the Formatting tab. Click Enable Formatting, Conditional Formatting. We will add rules that will tell this table how we want to format the data. In the first rule, one rule was already automatically added here. We want to apply this rule only to one field, the total change in cash income field. So let's do select fields and then select that field. We want to format it based off of the value. So first, let's do those who did increase their income. Those who did increase their income will have a value that is greater than 0 for total change in cash income. So we'll select greater than and type in 0. Then we want to format this a specific color. Oh, selected the wrong field here. There we go. Let's select green for these who did increase their income. Now we also want to highlight those who maintain their income. We will add another rule. Click Add Rule. Again, we want to apply this only to one field. So click Select Fields from the drop-down and Apply To, and then search for the field. To which to apply this rule. For these, we will format it based off of the value is equal to 0. So this means there was 0 change from entry to exit, which means they maintained their income. And let's format this a neutral color, such as yellow. Lastly, we want to call out those who have not increased their income during their stay in our project. So again, apply to select fields, search for a total change. We will format this based off if the value in that field is less than 0. And we want to format this in red. So now we see that the table calls out those clients who did increase their income and didn't increase their income during their stay in our project. If you want to delete a rule, you can always click the trash can button within the formatting tab next to that rule. So that's it for choosing your visualization type. If you're interested in learning more, please check out the knowledge base articles about choosing visualizations and creating Looker expressions. In the next video, we will go over how to save, share, and manage your looks.